following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and today I have a very special guest. Mr. Jesse Inocalla is in the building. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. It's a Wednesday. Glad to get over the hump.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just looking forward to what I always do every week. Look forward to the weekend. But yeah, doing well. For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, do some intro questions, formal questions, set the tone. Then afterwards, we jump into the main interview where my guests can either choose their lucky numbers or we'll jump to the fate. Then after that, we'll close it out with a few close-out questions. Sound good to you, Jesse?
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. Well, my very first question for you is, how have you been? You know, it's very simple, but everybody kind of takes it in different levels. But yeah, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with, let me know how you've been, man.
Yeah, man. It's been, dude, so like I'm sure like everybody's been saying the past 2 years have been a drag. Like, I remember, because like 2 years ago in 2019, I was traveling all over the United States for like conventions for Dragon Prince. And I was like hanging out with my friends on the beach in Hawaii at like a convention event. And we're all just like, oh, this is going to be so great that we're all together. This is so much fun. We've got like years of this ahead. And then boom, like everything shuts down and everything gets real dark real fast. And yeah, like for a while there, especially because like I work in entertainment, right? Like for a good month maybe in March of last year, no one had any idea what was going to happen. And no one had any idea what was going to happen next. And in a way, it's all been it's been nice for me to be able to just like take the time to like reconnect with my center and reconnect with like my family and check in on stuff that I know is important to me. And while it's been an interesting transition for like the entertainment industry, you know, I'm working from home a lot with my home studio. I'm like, Vancouver's nice because studios are open again, so I'm working relatively regularly, and you know, it's been nice to check back in on shit, you know, and to kind of just figure out where I'm at and what I want and refocus away from like just constant nonstop hustle.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you were able to kind of recharge during this time.
Yeah, it's been because like for the longest time, man, I was so sure that I was extroverted.
Okay, yeah.
And then like, you know, over the past couple years, you know, I've been trying to get out there more and do stuff more and, you know, try and get more things going for myself. And I realized I was exhausted all the time. And I never really thought much about it. I was just like, yo, like what's going on? Like you used to be able to do this. What's going on? And then I started to realize like, oh yeah, I just kind of want to be at home and like hanging out with my dog or hanging out with my partner or like playing video games or something.
No, I got you. Do you think so? I feel you because I used to think, or I guess I still kind of think I'm an extrovert, but how much of it that you think is due to just, you know, maturing and getting older? You know, it's like less of the outside, more of the inside.
Oh, for sure, man. Like when I was in my 20s, you know, it was not a problem, but I am a 36-year-old man this year. And like it's so funny. I have an acquaintance in LA who has like a banner in her living room, like one of those party banners, usually says like happy birthday or whatever, but it says please leave by 9. And I'm like, shit, I want that for my house, dude.
I got you. My homie just posted a meme that was like, can we normalize starting parties at 6 p.m. instead of 9 p.m.?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we can.
But yeah, maybe that I think that has a little something to do with our age, but who knows? I mean, the world
For
is
sure.
changing. The world is changing. Maybe these kids are digging, sleeping early too.
I hope so, man. It was I just remember those days as being like, yeah, I had a lot of fun, but like shit, I was tired all the time again.
I got you. Aside from being like, more extroverted in your 20s to, now your 30s, what other change have you kind of seen yourself go through from 20s to 30? Because I'm 31 and I feel like things have been changing in my mind. Like my focus is changing. So for yourself, anything you notice?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that comes immediately to mind, just because we were kind of chatting about it before the record, right, was like when I was in my 20s and I was like trying to make a name for myself as an actor and really not having a whole lot of success and shit, I was really looped into some really, really toxic mindsets, not just in regards to like the industry, but in terms of like how I wanted to be perceived by the industry, right? Because like I remember coming up through acting school and being told all the time that like, oh, there's no roles for Filipinos, just like play up your white side, or like, oh, you should learn Spanish because you're gonna audition for a lot of like Mexican roles or Latin roles. And when you're in your 20s and you're like trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to stop fucking like moving boxes or bartending or whatever, like you buy it. And the reason that sparked in my mind is because like I remember I never used to correct people on the pronunciation of my last name. Production, casting, whomever, just because like they're all white, and I was like, oh, that's easy, that's white people shit, like they'll just pronounce it however and I'll know. And I didn't realize like that it seems like just a small thing, but I didn't realize how much that had kind of like fucking brainwashed me, that like that's okay, and that those little, not intentional disrespect at all, of course they don't know, but those little acts of like personal disrespect towards myself were doing to me.
Gotcha. What would you say it was doing to you? Because I want to ask, because I feel like I relate to it. My real name is Jan, like Jan Brady, Jan Sport, and I have gotten so tired of explaining how to spell it, how to pronounce it. So I've shortened it to, like, I would say my past couple of jobs, I would just tell people, call me Jay. That's it. Like I want to keep it like that. And maybe I haven't come to that realization like you have, but yeah, how's that kind of?
I mean, for me, it was just like, because like in acting, and thank God it's changing a little bit, but even still not that much. Like there hasn't been Filipino stuff, and I have never seen myself or somebody like me on TV or in movies or whatever, unless it's like Dante Bosco and Hook or something, right?
Yeah.
Bless the homie, but that's it.
I feel you.
And like, for me, I just thought like what I had to do, the only way I could get by was to conform, was to just like make it as easy as possible. Don't stick up too much, don't stand up too much, because then you'll be seen as like difficult, or you'll be seen as hard to work with, or you'll be seen as any one of those things, right? And I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that, because like I want to work.
yeah
And like, I don't know, man, as I've gotten older and as I've kind of started to get more in touch with my community, my people, like I've stopped caring, particularly if fucking some rando white casting director gets me. And I'm just like out here doing my thing and vibing, because like that works for me, like not just for my career. I mean, I don't give a shit if it's helping my career at this point, but it just feels better for me. It feels more authentic to me that my only, because like my dad's Filipino, and he was you know, he and my mom broke up when I was like 13, and I still saw him a lot, but you know, I didn't have a lot of touchstones with like a whole side of my own heritage.
Yeah.
So I had like, you know, some handful of books that I read, and like my dad is a grandmaster martial artist, so I teach Filipino martial arts. I teach Arnis,
Yeah.
which has been dope, but that's all I ever had. And I came to realize more and more, like, shit, just by that small act of not allowing myself to go by what my name actually is, was like, it's like fucking colonizer mentality, you know?
Yeah. Now I feel bad.
Hey, it's like, it's everyone's journey too, right?
Yeah,
like you got to do what feels right for you. And for me, like, because it was just a matter of people mispronouncing my name. That's all it was. It was just like, you know, I'd get in the room and they'd be like, Jesse, Inocalla? And I'm like, yeah, sure, that'll do. That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I got you, man. I got you. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I think we could dive in really deep into that as far as identity, or like cultural identity. You know, I was born in the Philippines, but I came out here in California when I was like 4. But I never really felt like, you know, if I'm in the Philippines, they consider me American, and in America,
Yeah, totally.
they consider me Filipino. So it's like, where am I really from? You know?
Oh yeah, for real.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been telling people I'm just a global citizen, you know, like, which, you know, kind of serves, you know, my perspective that we're all connected and we're all one type thing. But yeah, no, it's interesting because, like, even now I don't know the true, like, effect it has on me, you know, of people seeing me or perceiving me that way. Because when I do go, I don't know if you ever been to the motherland, but it's it feels homey. Like, it feels like, oh, I feel like I'm the majority instead of the minority, you know? It's
Yeah,
a very different feeling.
I haven't had the opportunity to go back yet. I mean, I've mostly it's just been like finding time and schedules and money primarily. But
Sure.
like, I remember 2 years ago when my partner and I were in Hawaii for Comic Con. She's also Filipino.
Mhm.
And like, we were walking around and we were just like, holy shit. Dude, there's people like us here.
Yeah, man. And that's probably, like, you know, since you haven't been to the motherland, that's like the closest kind of feeling you've got.
Yeah.
Hawaii's dope because of that. You know, we're all islanders. So it's definitely, yeah, this feels comfortable, and like the connection is there without even having to say it, you know? But yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry, we gotta move on to some.
No, please,
questions.
by all means.
So these are the official warm-up questions. The first one is, what would you like the audience to know about you? For the folks out there who don't know, this is our first time meeting, first time conversing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would you like to know about you?
Let's see. I don't know, like, professionally, I'm a voice actor. My big stuff right now is like The Dragon Prince on Netflix. I'm the voice of Spider-Ham for some Marvel series, which is pretty fun. Yeah, like, all that shit's on my website, jesseinocalla.com. I teach Filipino martial arts. I teach voice acting, which has been super rewarding. Just like, it's not a path I thought my career would ever take me, and just like teaching, but it's really fucking cool and it's really rewarding. Yeah, and like, I really, really, really firmly believe that we are in a place in space and time and in history where things could change so beautifully if we all just, you know, put our minds to it, if we all just work together and make it happen.
I hear you, man. I feel like this is the next Renaissance era, you know, where
We're getting there, yeah.
Where everybody kind of has the ability to kind of get into anything that they wish to do, if they, you know, had the discipline and interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. The youth coming up right now, man, it's like you have the power in your in your hands. Like, you know,
and they're also smart, dude. Like the kids are fucking. I mean, it's a cliche, but the kids are all right.
Well, how do you think they're like this new generation is different from previous generation?
Man, like I've had the opportunity to teach a lot of like the Zillennials or the Gen Z guys, whatever they're calling themselves these days. And they are all so thoughtful and so connected and so like aware of everything going on and so progressive, which is really beautiful to see. And like they see that shit hasn't been going right for years and years. And it feels so cool to be able to watch them experience that and grow and like be firebrands for change, you know? Sure. Like I remember when I was a kid, like I didn't know jack shit about the world.
It's like, let me just figure out this right here. What's in front of me.
Yeah, let me figure out like my block and then I'll figure out the world. Whereas like, you know, Gen Z nowadays, the world is their block, you know?
Yeah. I work with high school students right now, and I'm trying to continue that. But I agree with you, man. They're down to have deep conversations with me, and that's why I think that's why I'm back working with students, just because we do have that similarity of thinking that we're all one, and you know, this is a global community. Whatever happens in America or Canada or anywhere else affects everybody else.
For real.
And I wonder. Well, I feel like I know for a fact it's because of the internet. We have technology in our hands and stuff. Because before, you know, like even if I call someone in another country, it's not like I see the news or you know I can see the social climate in their country. So yeah, no, I think these kids are gonna do something special. And
yeah,
I guess I'm just hoping to be, you know, one of the adults in their lives, like oh yeah, I remember when that guy, you know, told me this or enlightened me about this. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, man.
My personal question for you is how much do you charge for your voice acting lessons?
Man, so like I'm $100 an hour for like just audition coaching and shit. I do offer like reduced rates for like progressive coaching, you know, half hours, 15 minutes if they need it, right? But generally, like, and I'm willing to work too with because I dealt with so much fucking gatekeeping in this industry.
What's that mean? Gatekeeping?
Yeah, so just like, you know, voiceover has traditionally been a very small community, and historically, not to speak ill of anyone because I certainly don't mean to in this case, it's been a very small community of older white performers. And there are people fucking pushing through. There's guys like Eric Bauza, who is Filipino Canadian, who's Bugs Bunny, man. He's like Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck and like all these guys.
What?
And yeah, dude, he's dope. He's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
And there's like, you know, other there's loads of performers of color now, but even like when I was starting to come up, it was really hard to be seen for anything when, you know, they've got their same stable of like 10 older white guys who they just hire for everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, being an acting teacher, I see so many acting teachers, not other acting teachers necessarily, who are just like, you know, oh, you got to do these classes if you want to make it big, or you got to get this demo done if you want to make it big or whatever. And I don't think that's true. You know, I think everyone's got their own path. And I think, especially with the internet being what it is, and like, fuck, I recorded a video game for the UK 3 weeks ago from my home studio, from like my closet studio over there. You know, I've got another one that I'm doing next week for a developer in on the East Coast from my studio right there.
I gotcha.
You know, I think there's so much opportunity to be had, and I don't think there is one path to success anymore. And I even see now on Twitter, like a lot of the old dogs are still like, yo, you need to be in a major hub. You need to have professional demos done by a studio or whatever. You need to get an agent. You need to put in the work and the hours and shit. And I'm like, yeah, you did. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, someone in like Michigan or something can't start a successful voiceover career from Michigan just by like auditioning for independent games or independent audio or like audiobooks or shit, because they can, and they have, and I've seen it.
Yeah, like honestly, I didn't even think about those different opportunities you kind of listed there. You know, when people think of voice acting, at least I traditionally think of animation, or you know,
For sure.
Shows in that sense. I do overlook, you know, audiobooks, because for some reason I think audiobooks are read by the person who wrote it, you know?
For sure.
It's interesting, man. And another thing I relate to, you know, you saying everyone has their own path to success. You know, just doing this podcast, man, I feel like I've gotten so much feedback of what I should be doing, how I should be going about it. And
totally,
you know, some things just and I'm trying to be open to it, because I feel like I'm a very stubborn person, and you know, I think everything I'm doing is the right way of doing things. So I gave it a chance to kind of like, all right, they tell me like, what, for an example, they tell me release 1 episode per week and keep to that standard, because you want it to have space to breathe, you know, all that stuff. So I did that for a while until, you know, it really felt like there would be this big delay between, like, if we recorded now, I wouldn't be able to release the episode until 6 months from now, and that didn't feel right. It didn't fit well with my spirit. So it's one of the things that I kind of backtracked on. And you know, I've only been doing this thing for like 8 months now, and so there's a lot of changes. I don't think if you were a fan and seeing myself like release these things, then there's no consistency right now. I think I'm still in that early stages of figuring it all out. But yeah, no, I'm very like with finding your own path to success. Because like you could be open to so much advice and then it just gets jumbled up, you know, or
it's just like, it's luck, right? Just luck sometimes.
And I don't want to believe that, you know, like I want to believe hard work and patience will get you there, but yeah, man, a lot of it.
And so do I. I had a teacher I was studying with once, quite recently actually, who said to us, like, the final thing he told us in our class was like, hey, like, you gotta love what you do, and you gotta be in this for the art of it, because if you aren't, you're gonna be disappointed, because, you know, we only book so many times a year, and we have no control over whether or not we book. All we have control over is our output, is our art. So we gotta be honest to the art and do the art, and hopefully it'll resonate with somebody, because that's what art does.
That's a good reminder, man. Something I always gotta tell myself that like, and I've done things previous to this where I wasn't for the art, and I was just like, well, I have to move on, I gotta do something different. But I'm glad to find something now that I really feel like it's true to myself. All right, man, second question of the warm-up
please
is if I were to do something in your honor, like a way to express the energy you possess, what could I do?
Oh shit, that's good. Live fearlessly.
I got you.
Yeah.
Now we know what we can do for you. I mean, honestly, this question exists because I feel like there's so many times we don't get that answer from the people that post to us. It goes, damn, what could I do to honor them, you know? To live fearlessly. Ooh, that's a hard one too.
It's hard. It's real hard. You know, because I think, like, I know so many people, myself included, you know, I have spent a lot of my life, up to this point at least, you know, just being afraid of shit. and shit that I don't control or that I shouldn't be scared of, you know, like rejection or like change or anything, right? And you know, we need to, the only way that we can be undeniable in our work and be undeniable in our souls and in who we are is to just try and discard as much of that fear as we can. And like there's always gonna be fear, like that's life, but we can either meet it with bravery or we can meet it with cowardice, you know.
I had someone tell me, a teacher actually was like, fear is the only thing that gets smaller as you get closer. How do you feel about the statement? Think it's true?
I like that, man. I like that a lot. It's like, you know, you hear a scary noise in your apartment at night and you're like, oh shit, am I being burgled or something? And then you like get a flashlight and you're like, oh, it's a mouse.
Yeah. And if you don't get up and check it out, then it just stays in your mind. Like it could be
for sure
anything, right? that fear kind of grows if you don't confront it. Yeah, hear you. And my last question for you in the warm up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Oh shit. I want to be cocky and say like an 8, but probably like a 7.5.
Okay. Don't worry, man.
7.5. Yeah.
That's I would say the most common answer. But why 7.5 for you, or 8?
I think, well, like I've spent a lot of time, like, because I recognize that, you know, in previous iterations of myself, I was not being true to me, or true to my core, or true to what I want. And I know, you know, that there are every reason in the world for it, but I know that I've spent time in examination of that in myself, and in meditation of that in myself, and in meditation of how to be better and how to do better and everything. And I'm at a point now where when I see myself falling back into old habits, I can catch them. And I'm like, yo, you need to, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, get your shit together. But I also know that there are times when I catch myself falling back into old habits, but it's like the next day.
After the fact.
It's after the fact, where I'm just like, fuck, I could have been doing this, or I could have this, or I could have whatever, right? And I mean, I think part of that comes from dealing with, you know, my own mental state. You know, I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, and I know that in some of those cases, it's just like, you know, oh, you were feeling depressed, so of course you didn't get up and do whatever it is you're supposed to do. But I also have to wonder if sometimes that's an excuse, you know?
It's tough, man. Yeah.
It's real tough.
I think, at least for me, I justify my actions and my failures by saying it's a balance. You know, that's like life is all about balance. You know, even if you feel like you're doing a really great job and you're doing all these things, you're gonna have that time where I know for myself, I still have habits, and I don't know if I consider them, you know, bad habits, just to make myself feel better. But
sure,
they are my habits, and that's something I recognize. But like, you know, it's, for me, it's about my self-control. And I think that's the only thing I can kind of make myself feel better, because it's hard for me to drop those bad habits. So lessening it, pretty much my goal. Being able to say, all right, this is a time and place for everything. So this is the time I should, time I shouldn't. And yeah, I mean, it's a constant thing that I work in
for real.
You know? My follow-up question is, what would you say is your favorite thing about your personality?
Man, this is a question where, like, my answer would change every 5 years going back in my life. But at this point, I would say my favorite thing about my personality is my kindness.
I got you. Would you say
Yeah.
you've always been kind, or is that something that you kind of grew into? Or
I would say I've always been just in denial in
I
the
see.
past.
I see.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's those real shitty structures of like, you know, growing up, you know, as a man, you know, I tell my students all the time, we're not encouraged as men to feel stuff ever, unless it's like anger or happiness, nothing else. And even happiness is like you can get to like, and that's it.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
can
a little
smile.
smile and then you're good. But yeah, like I recognize in my, I know for a fact that like in my earlier days, like that is not something I would have ever claimed that I was proud of. But you know, just because it felt like admitting weakness, right?
Oh yeah. I think I'm more conscious now, because I used to like hold in my tears when I watch I film a lot of TV shows, movies. So when there's a scene that just like, you know, plucks at my heart, I'm usually just stone faced and not trying to
For real, me too.
And then now I'm just all like, man, fuck it. Maybe I need to cry because it's the only shit that makes me cry, you know? Like nothing else is gonna make me cry except this scene
And
right
isn't
now.
that, it feels so fucked up, right? That like sometimes, because I know I've been exactly there, where like I was just like, oh shit, this is the only thing in the world that elicits this feeling out of me. What does that say about me?
That's a trip, man. I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
As I've gotten like chiller, I guess, for lack of better phrasing, I'm now like, okay, I allow myself that emotion, but it took forever to get there.
Oh yeah.
And it's still a journey, you know?
Like I don't know if you know, you have any children or anything, but I think that's gonna be the important part, like a wisdom that we can impart to the next generation too, right? Like be open with me. I know you're a kid and like you don't gotta do it with anybody else, but I gotta model it too to you and things. And it's funny, I had talked to one of my old coworkers and he was telling me how his dad was the kind of dude who would cry all the time, like when it came to the movies and stuff. And he's from India, and he told me in India, like that's a common thing. Like at least in his neighborhood or his city, it was like a lot of fathers or a lot of dudes are emotional, and no one gives it a bad like, you know, rep, like a bad rep basically. Oh, they're too sensitive, or oh, they're not a real man. There's nothing like that going on in India. So I'm like, oh man, I guess that kind of sucks that I grew up in America where that's kind of shunned upon, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had another question and it like,
oh shit,
left my mind, but it's all good. We made it to the main portion of the interview.
Here we are.
Yeah. Would you like to choose your lucky numbers, or would you like to turn to the Wheel of Fate?
I'm gonna turn to the Wheel of Fate, man. That sounds fun.
Let's do it. So let me give it a spin. And just a heads up, each number has an easy, medium, hard. So you could start, you know, easy, however you want to start.
Okay.
Got number 29.
29.
Easy, medium, or hard?
Medium.
Medium 29. What would you say is out of your control?
Ooh. Shit. I mean, kind of like I was saying earlier, my career. Plainly. Like I love what I do. I believe myself to be an artist in my work. I'm incredibly proud of the work that I do, and I have seen how my work, as frivolous as it is, and I believe it is frivolous ultimately in a lot of ways, I've seen how it affects people and how it changes people and how it makes people really happy, or it makes people cry or whatever. And I think that's really beautiful. But I also recognize I have no fucking control over the scope of whatever media it is that I get to do, how it gets out there, or who sees it necessarily, or if it has a cultural impact, or if it's anything beyond, you know, just all of us in a booth briefly working together.
Yeah. I kind of want to ask, has there ever been a time where you had a script where it it didn't really fit with your either your personal values and views,
Yeah.
but you had to do it. It was your job.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
All the time. Yeah. And
yeah,
like I justify it to myself because it is my job. And in some of those cases, like there's one gig in particular I can think of where like it wasn't even that the thing was against my values. It just like killed my soul to do because it was so just banal. It was so like I was going in because this was like a weekly gig. I was going in every Friday to do my thing, and I'm just like, they're not paying me enough to do this shit. This drives me insane, and I can't believe I'm still doing it. But we unfortunately we all got to work to survive, and it was what I was doing at the time.
gotcha, gotcha. I'm curious about how long you've been at it. You've been,
Yeah.
first off, when did you know that this was a career for you? And you were like,
Man.
let me put my eggs in this basket.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved performing. I've always loved acting. I all through, my dad was kind of pivotal in it all because my dad is a grandmaster martial artist. And when I was 10, he got hired to do the stunts for Michelangelo on Ninja Turtles 3.
Holy crap!
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So my whole family, me, my mom, my brother, my dad, we moved down to Oregon, to Seaside, Oregon, where they were shooting the film for a summer. We were there for 2-3 months anyway. And I was on set every day with him. And it was so fucking cool, dude. Like, they built a whole like coastal Japanese village on the Oregon seacoast, man. And they needed kids, so they like put me in a little kimono and put my hair up in a top knot, and I was an extra on the thing. And I ended up doing like a handful of stunts that I don't know. They didn't make it into the film for sure. I don't remember how many of them even got shot, but I ended up being asked to do a handful of stunts for like the main boy in it. And ever since then, I was like, you can do this. You can like play pretend and get money for it. Like, there's like a whole like way of living I never even considered. So when I grew up more, I suppose, when I got out of high school, I went to acting school. And even all throughout high school, I was a theater kid, man. I was like, pushing for shows and trying to be in as much as I could. I was like the head of my school's improv club. Like, I knew, because I was just like, first off, I don't like answering to people. I'm not good at taking orders from people.
I gotcha. Same way.
So like, yeah. So, I never knew if that was a viable future for me. I knew it was something I could do, but not something I wanted to do. And yeah, I got through all acting school, and because my dad is a martial artist, I always wanted to be in action movies because I grew up watching them. And I got out into the world, and one of my teachers puts it really well. He says, like, you got out into the world and the industry was like, great, what do we do with you?
Yeah.
And I was just like, shit. Yeah, I had nothing. I had a commercial agent, and I don't have a particularly commercial look, so I never worry about booking them because I don't. And I just remember, I was feeling real fucking low because I wasn't booking nothing. I wasn't auditioning for nothing. And my agent at the time happened to be friends with a man named Michael Dobson, who did a whole bunch of shit up here. He was like Leonardo on Ninja Turtles once. He was Cobra Commander. He was Starscream. He was like, he's done everything. And she was like, yeah, so my friend Michael has this workshop that Spot opened up in. Do you want it? And I was like, for voiceover? Oh, okay, sure, why not? Because I hadn't thought voiceover was like a viable career. I was just like, oh, those voices must come out of nowhere or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I did the workshop, and I was like, holy shit, this is the thing. This is the thing I want to do. Because it doesn't matter how fucking tall you are, how nice your hair is, how nice your six pack is or whatever, right? It's just like, can you do the job?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what keeps me in it, you know?
I hear you, man. I hear you. And how this might be too personal, but
No, please.
how many times you felt like you had to fail before you got to that point, you know, where it's like, because you were kind of, you know, mentioning how it was really tough to find your place in the industry until an opportunity. So was it something where like something big happened one time and then you were like, oh man, my morale is pretty low right now?
Yeah.
Or did it feel like it was consistent losses, consistent health, you know?
Yeah, it's a mix, to be honest. It's like every so often it's a big loss. Sometimes it's just like a series of smaller losses. You know, this past year has been actually really wonderful for film and TV auditioning, because I don't do a whole lot of it. And, you know, casting has started looking for more people from home to do shit, which is great. I love it. But my agent, who I've been with, and I love her very much, I'm never leaving her. She's great. She just started sending me a whole bunch of auditions for like one-liners and no-liners and stuff. And I don't think I'm better than that. I'm not. But man, like consistently auditioning for like man at avocado truck or man number one or scared man or whatever can start to get at you. And I had a call with her. I submitted some tapes to her, and she called me and she was like, Jesse, your tapes were really great, but can I ask you, are you enjoying this? And I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not. And it wasn't for lack of effort. I was trying to, but I was just like, shit, like I've been at this 12 years and, you know, they're auditioning me for like a reaction.
Yeah.
And I know that's just the way the industry is sometimes. And I know that's just how it is right now, because they want to, you know, make sure everything is perfect for these little things. And that's the mindset I've since adopted, but it's still demoralizing.
Sure. Well, I'm glad that, you know, you found that second wind, or, you know, the other lane.
Yeah, like eighth wind at this point.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm probably at my fifth right now, so maybe it's gonna take my eighth win to finally land something. But
man, I hope it's only the fifth for you.
Who knows? But let's go ahead and take another spin real quick. Here we go.
All right.
Ooh. Number five. You were right there at that border. But,
damn.
Easy, medium, or hard?
I'll go medium again.
Medium 5. You consider yourself religious or spiritual at all?
No to religious, yes to spiritual.
Gosh, what's the distinction for you?
For me, it's the hierarchy, the rigidity of it. You know, like my mom is fucking. She spent her whole life believing she was Irish. Then she did like 23andMe and found out she was Scottish. But she grew up like hardcore Catholic, and like my dad is of course Filipino. So he's not Catholic, but he was when he was a kid. But he never opposed my mom taking us to church. So I grew up very Catholic, and I found a lot of breaks with the church, not only in like their social progressiveness, but just in the how to phrase, like the I don't want to say like the oppression of it all, because it's not the oppression of it, but the authority of it, the authoritarianism of it. That's what I'm looking for.
I got you. Yeah.
Because it's all like, you know, you gotta pray up to this guy every single day, and maybe if he likes you, nice stuff will happen to you. And I was like, what? Fuck that noise. I don't care for that.
Yeah.
And like, no shade or no hate to anybody who is religious. Like, I know we all have our own different paths, and you know, certainly I don't I don't care what people do so long as it, doesn't hurt anybody else, really.
For sure. Yeah, man.
And
Go ahead.
oh no, please go ahead.
No, it sounded like you had another point. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, I was just gonna speak more on the spiritual side of things.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I read tarot cards for myself once in a while. I'll I meditate. I believe in. I don't think I believe in God, but I think I believe in the universe as a whole.
You hit that on the nose for me, man. For me, God and universe are synonymous. If I'm praying to God, I'm praying to the universe, vice versa. Yeah, no, I feel you on that, man. And I think, it's one of those things where, like, even the name God was man-made, someone said, no, this is what we're calling him, or, and it's like, all right, well, and I think
we need a name for this guy. God, all right, run with it.
I think that's my biggest reservation when it comes to religion. Like, I'm for the community, I'm for giving people hope and all that, but the authority I dislike as well. I went to Catholic school, K-8, and I'm Filipino, so my folks are super into go to Catholic school, you're gonna be a good person. So
the Nino on the dresser,
we got the altar, man. We got the altar for sure. But I'm not knocking my folks for that at all.
No, of course.
One thing I do appreciate about them is that they've kind of they've seen how I've created my own kind of spirituality, and they've been open to it. It's not something that they hate or try to change me. So it's interesting to see that they're open to at least maybe their way isn't the only way, which is pretty cool. But yeah, man, spirituality is my spirit at least is very universal, and well, all right, let's say you don't believe in God, but any thoughts about the afterlife? Is there anything after this? I mean, can you say?
I don't know, man. When I was younger, I dug the concept of reincarnation. As I've gotten older, I don't necessarily think that's the case. But I do think that whatever's after this is not necessarily for us, for the people who've passed. I think that what the afterlife ultimately is it's something for the living. It's something for the living to be all my grandpa passed, say, and I know he's up there, I know he's looking down on me, and he's watching over me, and I think that's a really beautiful sentiment. I don't know that I agree with it. I don't know that I believe it, but I also think that, kind of like you were saying, whatever gives people hope, especially right now, whatever gives people hope and whatever gives people the courage they need to get through is the most important thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm still very undecided on Afterlife. I feel like I had this one of my questions. I don't think we're gonna get to it, so I could let you know.
Yeah, please.
Which is, I had to ask this question to my coworkers, and it was, do you think we're all one or we're all individual? And then and then my boss, I really respect him saying this, but he's like, I think we're individuals now waiting to become one again. And I was like, oh my God.
Well, I love that.
Yeah. And I was like,
that's the best answer you could give.
Yeah, man. And I was like, yeah, man. And I didn't know him that well, so when he answered it that way, I was like, respect level went up there. I'm like,
yeah, for sure.
I hear you, bro. But yeah, just a heads up, man. We have about 10 minutes left.
Oh shit!
The podcast.
Okay.
Just want to thank you again for stopping by. I hope you're having fun.
I am. This is really lovely. Thank you so much for the opportunity too.
Show, man, for sure. And then, so before we get to the closeout, the final stretch. I forgot what I was saying. But before the final stretch, I got this little exercise for you. Since you're into meditation, I think you might appreciate this. It's called the 34th mantra. And I have these fill in the blanks for you. The phrase is, I am, I can, I will. So it's, I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. How would you fill that in for yourself?
Wow. I like that. I am, I can, I will. That's it, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am... I am good enough. I can... I can survive this. I will thrive.
Show, man. That was pretty powerful. And I hope one day, if you ever need a reminder, you got this little soundbite of yourself.
I got this soundbite. I gotta say it. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make it my ringtone.
Alarm clock, wake up. But yeah, man, thank you for participating.
My pleasure.
And all right, man, we made it to the final stretch.
Here we are.
I'd like to start off with a question from my previous guest. So shout out to Miguel. Thank you for your question. And his question for you is, if there was a song that embodies your spirit, which one would it be?
Damn. Shit. What would it be? That's a really good question. Because there's so much music and
Yeah.
Fuck. You know what? I'm gonna go with a song that means a lot to me. I don't know if I would say it fully embodies who I am, because I think it's a lot gentler than I am as a person. But the Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow Connection. Specifically by Kermit the Frog, 1979. 77, my bad. 77 Muppet movie.
Oh, this was from the Muppet movie?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Opening song of the Muppet movie. It is reliably ever since I saw the film, it is reliably one of the 5 moments in the movie that makes me weep like a child. And what I love about it so much is that it is just, the entire film's a love letter to artists and to artistry. And that first song is just about connection as an artist, not only to the craft, but to yourself and to the people you want to connect to.
This is the Muppet movie?
That's the Muppet movie.
Oh man, I've been sleeping on it, bro.
Yeah, bro, you gotta get on it.
I gotta check it out with adult eyes too. I feel like
with the original Muppet movies, like the first one especially, is just, damn, it hits hard. It hits different as an adult, and it hits different as an adult in the arts. But the lyrics and the music are just masterworks by everyone involved. It's clearly a project of passion, and it is for sure a movie a lot of people slept on.
I know, man. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm gonna have to show that to the kids I know. Maybe they get something out of it too. And then my second question for you in the final stretch is, what would you like to ask the next guest that comes out to 34 questions?
Ooh. What do you want your legacy to be?
These are one of those questions where I think it's one of those things where if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would think I knew. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh, I didn't really know.
For real, I don't know, man. That's why I ask people. I don't fucking know.
Word, man. Word. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think your legacy is now, up to now?
Up to now, I don't know. for sure. But I can say that like it has been, especially through teaching, you know, every class I ever do, ever with voiceover, especially with voiceover, because acting is such a weird, vulnerable, personal place. The first thing I say to any class is like, hey, just so you guys know, I want to make this as safe a space as possible for you to try anything and fail spectacularly, because you're gonna, and it's better you do it here than you do it elsewhere. And in order to do that, I just want all of you to acknowledge that we are here to support each other, to look after each other, to bring each other up, and to make sure that we got each other's backs. Are we all cool with that? And of course, they all usually say yes. But I think I would like, not just as like a performer, but as a person, that my legacy be one of allowing people a safe space to be.
I got you, man. And
yeah,
I just met you, and I think you're doing that. So
thank you.
Good first impression.
I try.
And man, my last question for you, the question that ties everything together, 100, 200 years from now, whenever you have your descendants watching this video, what would you like to tell them?
Be undeniable in who you are, in what you want to do, and in everything you strive to be.
Hear that. Any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here?
No, man, it's been a real pleasure. So often I get brought onto podcasts to talk about, like, you know, cartoons or voiceover or video games or whatever, and it's really nice to just get to be fucking real and candid. So I appreciate it a lot, and I want to mad respect to you, man.
Oh man, I appreciate the kind words, and I'm glad you felt like that was the energy you were getting, because that's exactly what the thing is all about. You know, it's hard for me. I have guests that come on, and you know, I'm not sure if I almost don't want anyone to kind of say what their occupation is, because I feel like there's already some assumption or judgment based around that. But also, you know, that is who you are, a part of you.
Yeah.
So, you know, like it's very tricky. I still haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story, sharing your perspectives, man. It's been my pleasure to have you on. Hopefully, you know, the people in your life can find this valuable, or you know, maybe one day they'll find it valuable. But yeah, so thank you. I want to thank all the folks out there. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're checking it out. I appreciate y'all as well. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love. And we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace.
Peace out.
All right, man. That was, and then